I feel helpless. I have to move some type of way. So I'm telling you this because I have been in places where I have been 200 plus pounds. I have been broken down where I could not move my body. I'm not coming to y'all from a place of, it's always been slim, trim, Zya over here. That's not the case.
Welcome to Conversations with the Ancestors, where we connect to ancestral wisdom, cosmic insight, and healing rituals to redeem and liberate our souls. You're here because your higher self and your ancestors brought you here. So get your tea or coffee, take a breath, and settle in because, baby, this is for you.
What up, divine beings? And welcome. You know, a new reality takes some time to sink its teeth into when it is coming online into the 3D. And it takes time for the dust to settle, for the winds of dust to kind of calm down. And as that dust is settling and the timeline, the new timeline that you stepped in comes into line, this is the moment where we're not trying to do more manifestation techniques out of fear that the rituals and the work that you didn't work. And it's not the time that you need to reminisce and think, did I do something wrong? Did I do something right? Because I'm not seeing what I want to see. And oh my gosh, all of that. No, it's just the 3D has a lag. And that lag is for reorganization purposes. And it signals the opportunity for us to pause. During this pause time, we benefit ourselves the best by signaling stability to our 3D environment and to our nervous system. In supporting your nervous system, this helps the timeline take a hold. This is how we embody the new timeline. So in this episode, I encourage you and invite you to journey with me as we discuss the techniques to supporting your nervous system so that it knows that the changes took place, that the changes ain't going nowhere, and that your nervous system and you and the new timeline are safe. Here to support all of our nervous systems and help me traverse this topic today is Dr. Udim. Yes, you heard me say 2 doctors in a row because I didn't stutter. That's how bad this being is. Dr. Udim Isang, PDT, ED. Oh my gosh. Don't be mad at me. You might have to say some of these things right from me, friend. They, them is a doctor of physical therapy, Indigenous Medicine Educator, and the founder of the Ufan Ima Institute and Sunny Therapeutics. Their work bridges physical therapy, nervous system regulation, intuitive movement, and ancestral healing practices rooted in the Igbo and Anang traditions in Nigeria. Dr. Udim specializes in supporting neurodivergent individuals, trauma survivors, and those navigating chronic pain through integrative manual therapy, somatic awareness, and embodied ritual. As a queer trans immigrant practitioner, their work is informed by lived experiences and centers liberation, consent, and nervous system sovereignty. They are the author of Liberation Through Practice, Voices of Black and Indigenous Healers, and a contributor to Brains. Gosh, I am stuttering today, y'all. Brains Magazine. Their teaching integrates clinical science, ancestral technologies, and intuitive movement to help individuals stabilize their nervous system and embody new ways of being. Through their clinical practice, writing, and global retreats, Dr. Udom supports others in remembering safety within the body and living in alignment with timelines rooted in truth, presence, and ancestral continuity. Oh my gosh, my bad. Be with me today, y'all. Apparently, it's early. Now to the stage, Dr. Udom. Help me welcome them.
Hi.
Hi, Udom. First of all, welcome and
Thank you.
thanks for being here. I would
Mhm.
love to pick your mind and have you share with us a little bit more about the mechanisms of the nervous system because we've talked about the nervous system multiple times in this season of Conversations with the Ancestors.
Mhm.
And I've talked about the autonomic nervous system, the
Mhm.
parasympathetic, all of that.
Mhm.
However, I'm not the expert in the nervous system. You know,
Mhm.
I have lots of tools in my belt, and I would love just to give to the audience a little more meat and potatoes, as they would say, to really what the nervous system is and some of the reasons why it's important for us.
Without our nervous systems, we literally, truly would not exist in our physical form and being. um when you were talking and you're like, okay, yeah, I remember the episode you were talking, the last one I was listening to. You brought up the autonomic nervous system. I'm like, everyone, pretty much is, if you've gone through therapy, health therapy, if you're just in the spiritual community and world, I feel like there's more people finding out about autonomic nervous system, which comprises the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, which is amazing because then I get to talk less. But there's also so much else to the nervous system. We have our brains that are attached to our spinal cord, and our spinal cord runs down. Well, we have, I'm break it down. So we have our brain. Attached to the brain, we have our cervical spine, and then we have our thoracic spine, and then we have our lumbar spine, and then we also have our sacrum. And then you have the spinal cord that runs inside of the vertebrae, going literally extending down. Um, and then if you think about, this is buns. These are these in my hand right now is bun or the pelvis. And then you have the rest of the nerves that run down our legs, that control, the movements and muscles in our legs. So if your nervous system was not functioning properly, you would be brain dead. Like, if you've ever had a loved one or ever heard of someone becoming brain dead, their brain is being run by machines, and it's actually, you're not getting signals to send energy to the rest of your body, your muscles and nerves, which makes us move. So that's another part of the nervous system. We have 12 cranial nerves that are in our brain. I'm not going to go deep because it's well, lots of nerds, nerdy stuff, but and those 12 cranial nerves controls like our body as well. Or certain parts of our bodies, and people are also familiarizing themselves with the vagus nerve, which helps to stimulate uh, and calm and relax us when we are in those hyper states. But that's just one of 12 cranial nerves that run here and then extend down and control all of these features. And if they're not working properly, if they are working too hard, if they're working not enough, then your physical body is going to not be performing at its optimum. And then that's where we get into diseases, injuries, mental health diseases, disorders, and all the things. So, in summary, I'll just leave it there. But that is kind of like a synopsis, more of like the nervous system.
Thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
so just to, because as you were talking, I was like, yes, I remember these things from my personal training
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and, all of that. And one of the things that you mentioned that I really want to highlight is, well, actually, there were multiple things that you mentioned that I want to highlight. But one thing that comes to mind is you mentioned if we didn't have our nervous system, we'd be dead. We wouldn't be functioning. And our nerves go everywhere in our body, from our head to our toe. It links the brain to everywhere else and everywhere else back up to the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is really important, especially as we talk about nervous system safety as like the foundation for stabilizing our timeline, because oftentimes when we're shifting into a timeline and our nervous system now has to also come online with the new timeline, right? Like our thoughts and how we move internally shifts faster than our 3D does. And that is the same, like our body is in the 3D, our body is mass. So it also shifts and regulates a little slower than what our thought and our internal essence has said to move forward. So, in thinking about embodying the new timeline, bringing that timeline on and stabilizing it, I recognize that the more safe we feel internally, then that sends signals to our nervous system that it can come back into that homeostasis, into the parasympathetic, and begin to relax, which to me also allows for the stability of stuff. And I would love to, like, pose that to you. How does that look? How does nervous system safety really connect to the foundation of a new timeline? Because right now we're really bridging that 3D physical stuff with the spiritual. Of timelines are very like astral realm type stuff, and in this conversation and most of this podcast, we're really merging the two, helping people see there is no separation between the two, and sometimes having the vernacular to support that understanding is important.
So I'm going to give an example. So this is a cup of, it's empty now, but in here was decaf coffee. Now, 10 years ago, I did not drink coffee. Maybe 7 years ago, I started to drink coffee because I was in the 3D world and I was trying to keep up. Still, obviously, right, I'm in this form, but I was like heavy working at a hospital system. It was right before the pandemic began. And I was just trying to keep up. But I was just trying to keep up with things and people who moved at a different pace that I did. And I soon learned, or now I learned, caffeine puts me to sleep, right? So I drink coffee to go to sleep. So if you ever see me with a coffee cup in real life moving about, it's decaf. Okay. But I had to learn, right, through practice, self-awareness, that caffeine, or the caffeine, any amount of caffeine, can be really, be non-herbal tea or whatever, or caffeinated tea, right, brings my nervous system into a heightened state, right? It puts my nervous system into flight. And so when I am in flight, I'm able to do more, right? My physical body is able to do more, even though my spirit and my mental might be telling me something else, but my body is hyper. So I think I can continue to do this thing until the quiet came in lockdown. And I was like, oh, wow, I move so fast. And oh, wow, it took me 2 weeks of not working to know that like I wasn't drinking enough. I wasn't eating enough. I wasn't doing all the things to like maintain it. But I had to like stop moving and stop drinking coffee, caffeinated things, and actually listen to what my body was saying, to know that like I was harming myself by continuing to do things that other people were doing because that worked. Maybe doesn't for their body. So when we put our nervous system in environments or ingest things, or put it basically in states where we are working harder, when we eventually do slow down, or the universe does slow us down, because if you don't, you will be put down, and then you will have to be made to learn and listen to your body. And now I can't do the same things that I used to do. Now, like working 40 hours a week, literally, I mean, it did before, but like I literally physically get ill, right? Like if I drink too much caffeine, my fingers will start to, they'll just like, you can feel the dry, like the dehydration. When
Mm,
you, when your mouth starts to get dry, you were already dehydrated.
well past it. Well past it.
But you don't, most people don't know that. Like once you start craving water, you are already dehydrated. But you just literally have to just be sitting there drinking water all day. You may not like it. I don't care for water, right? But if we don't do these things, then whatever you're trying to call in to your body, a system can never reach it because it doesn't feel like it's not in homeostasis. It's not regulated. It's not balanced. Like it's either like sympathetic is like up here, parasympathetic is down here, but like until it can regulate, none of the things that we want for ourselves can actually really happen because it has to hit all the systems: mental, spiritual, physical, like nervous, like all of it has to align. And until it does, you can burn paper, you can, you know what I'm saying, howl at the moon all you want to, but homie, if your nervous system ain't regular, like you ain't getting nowhere.
Really appreciate everything that you mentioned, especially about the drinking water piece, because I have been telling people that for years that if you are thirsty, if you feel quenched and parched and ready for some water, that means you are well past thirsty, well past thirsty. Your body is full on dehydrated. And I at one point I was drinking 2 gallons of water a day, and people thought I was crazy. And I was like, "But I ain't thirsty. You see how luscious my skin look." One other thing is that you mentioned parasympathetic is here, and uh, sympathetic is here. And just for our listening viewers, if you could like kind of directionally share where that is on the body. And then also I want to share with our viewers that I'm having some internet difficulties right now. And so Dr. Udam's video is slightly pausing from here to here, and mine's might also do that from time to time, but the audio is still there. So please bear with us. This is what happens when you are outside of different countries, and sometimes your internet don't always work the best that you desire it to, and that's okay. We are still here. We still doing it. So yes, Dr. Udom, can you just kind of give us a little bit more clarity on where the parasympathetic sympathetic is in the body in regards to that example you gave us?
So in the example, I was specifically speaking about like heightened. So I had my hand raised up higher, and then like, you know, lower, not heightened, essentially. Like hypo is under, and then hyper is is not at baseline. And so when we are, whatever our natural state is, if you ingest something like coffee with caffeine, and your nervous system naturally is a type that is, like if you're a regulated nervous system, it's going to do quote unquote what coffee your caffeine is supposed to do, which is give you more energy and give you more, help your blood pump a little bit more so that you can get done the exercise or work that you need to do. But if your nervous system is one that is already in a heightened state, be it from whatever life experiences or previous life experiences, sometimes ingesting caffeine does the opposite effect. So my hands were higher for like nervous systems who are hyper, and then lower for nervous systems who are lower. But our parasympathetic and our sympathetic system is throughout our, when I say trunk, I mean like our neck down to our waist. The system that works together with all of our other key internal organs to be activated. But from here, down to our waist is where you can find that specific the core chunk of those systems.
Okay. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you. Thank you so
You're
much
welcome.
for expounding on that.
Yeah.
When we're talking about stabilizing the timeline and also our nervous system to be in the timeline, oftentimes a feeling of safety is required as we are talking about safety. And that safety can be found within the pause portion, a conscious pause. And I feel like when a timeline is taking shape and the 3D and matter is reorganizing to fit the new timeline and that dust is now settling, right? That's the conscious pause space for us. And in that pause time, we have the opportunity to tell our body and our system that we don't have to run from the proverbial lion anymore, that that everything is going to be fine. And that pause space is where we can begin to really build sustainability. And I mean, I feel like that's really why we've spent multiple episodes on how to become this new person in your timeline, because we're building and expanding sustainability for us during this pause. So, to build our resolve creates that expansion and expands the energetic container. But it's also helps us come into alignment with where we are as a being. And I keep hearing the song, Slow Down. I just want to get to know you, but don't turn around. Something, 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 whatever he says. That song comes to mind. And the sheer thought of slowing down, because it's the chance that we get to know ourselves, get to know what our nervous system needs, get to know what the timeline needs, all those things to feel safe. Dr. Unam, I'd like to understand why the feeling of safety so crucial to our timeline's ability to stabilize.
It feels like a straightforward answer, but it's not, and it's probably not going to sound straightforward. But finding safety means that you are safe anywhere, even when the world feels seemingly unsafe. And as a human with all these different intersections that are seemingly under attack in this moment, being safe in my nervous system is literally the only thing keeping me moving forward. And I just want to let that sink in.
Say it one more time for the people in the back.
When you feel like everything in your world, external world, is burning down, your nervous system feeling safe within yourself is literally how you come up for breath and get out of bed the next day. At least that's what it's been for me.
I would agree. I would say it's also been that for me. Like when I was reading your bio, I don't know if people noticed, but closer to the end of it, I took a deeper breath, and like I took a deeper breath, I kind of settled my body down. And it was a quick thing that I did, but I recognized, I was like, I need to settle my nervous system. And I breathed and I was like, did a quick internal check. And then the last couple of sentences that I was reading of your bio was much smoother, because I had did that quick, like, hey, what's happening, Zya? Breathe, you're fine, you're safe. And so I that really resonates with me, what you're saying. And knowing that, okay, so I was watching TikTok. There's this TikToker called Jonah Eslin Snick, whatever his name is. I'll put it in the show notes. I'll add him, okay? But one of the things that he said was, a regulated nervous system is the new generational wealth because it provides you the skill set for more success, as well as creating more quality, grounded, loving, and aware humans. And I was like, you ain't said nothing but a word, friend. That is it. That is it. That can eat. Because the way that when you know the tools, and not just the tools, but also the words and how to then implement them, then integrate them into your life, you're more aware of it. It all, like, everything starts to click, and you start showing up more authentically in spaces, because you know that you are safe, because you know how to regulate yourself, because you know who you are. And just before we go deeper into the conversation about a regulated system is the new generational wealth, because I want to move back to that, but I want to finish the teasing out of how safety really allows us to even live in consent with ourselves, and with the new timeline that we are coming into, that we're arriving in, that we're even sometimes striving towards, because, like, personal consent, solo consent has its various degrees. You got consent with your body, consent with your spirit, consent with your emotions. And this consent of safety and protections and security for yourself and your timeline adds an additional layer. So, what to you would it mean for us to have a consent conversation with our timelines, with our nervous system?
So you touched on it when you mentioned your pause for to take a breath, um, and that opened up a whole nother can of worms. Because I'm like, literally, yes. And I don't know what your audience, because your audience can reach so many people, but I've been so absorbed or just been in spaces where there are a lot of people talking about the breath. And I started my meditation practice a while ago to help regulate my nervous system as a neurodivergent human. That has been the most life-changing thing in the world. And when you asked that question, I was just like, oh, to have the conversation with yourself would be to do a body scan, and to just start from your head to be toe. You can start from your toes, start from your head, but just like talk to yourself. And for people who don't talk to themselves or feel some type of way about people who talk to themselves, y'all can go fuck off. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna need you to get over that, because talking to your body is literally how we save it. I do mirror therapy with people who had strokes or amputees, and that is the work, is to literally talk to your body to get it to say, hey, you're okay. Like, you can still move. This limb may not be here anymore, right? But we can get it back to where it's supposed to be. And your body and your nervous system responds. And so to start to have those conversations, those consent conversations with our body, is to get really uncomfortable and to get really vulnerable, and to like work on releasing fear about how crazy or stupid we might feel, we look or sound, by knowing what our ouches and our aches and our ticks and our things are. Because a lot of the times in my line of work, when people start to hear their body is when it's too late. They've already had the stroke. They've already had the cardiac arrest. They've already lost their limb. They've already, fallen down the steps. Like, your body been trying to tell your iron is low, but you wasn't listening. So it had to knock your ass out. And now you here with me. And now we start, now we got to start from the bottom. So it would save so much heartache and so much money if we just like listen to our bodies. And I'm saying that very cavalier, knowing the work that it takes to get to that point. Because some of us are numb, or some of us have not felt safe enough our entire lives to be able to actually know what our body feels like. And it's important. It's a matter of life and death.
I love how we do similar work in different lanes, right? Because I also do body scans and working with clients on hearing their bodies yes and no, and the profound transparency that is found when you do mirror work and really seeing yourself and talking to yourself and talking to the inner child and all of those different things, right? And so I love to see how you never really reinvent the wheel, but the way that the wheel is used varies. And where the wheel goes, the directions that it goes, uh, varies too. And so I love that we're here together, gnawing down on this topic, supporting the podcast listeners who, you guys, I have podcast listeners from all over the world, Thailand, Peru, and in the US, Australia also. So shout out to y'all for making the podcast Conversations with the Ancestors worldwide. Burr, 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 burr. uh, but I am constantly talking to myself. I mean, when we first met Dr. Udom, I have a book some of you all know called Body Bliss, and it is a journal. You can find it on Amazon. It's underneath my previous former name, Robin Denise, MPH. But that book brought me into Dr. Udom's life. And I remember when we first met in at Essalon, I was constantly talking about, I checked in with my body said this, or my ego wants to say this, but my body is saying this, one thing over another. So that work of self-talk and self-reflection and embodiment can, I know sometimes I can say cavalierly, like, just talk to yourself, because it is sometimes that simple and not at the same. It really takes the intention behind desiring to know who you are more. And I feel like that's a part of the consent. That's a part of coming into the new timeline. That's a part of syncing the timeline down so that it sticks, is understanding who you are, understanding what you need, how your body works, and what it's trying to tell you, because it's always communicating to us multiple times in a day. Not, it's like it never stops communicating, never stops communicating to us. I want to get into the regulated nervous system as generational wealth. So sometimes when we get concerned or anxious, we can collapse into overcorrection when we're like, this timeline hasn't shifted. I'm not seeing the manifestations that I want. Blah, 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 blah. We're a lot of times missing the opportunity to sit in the satisfaction that the work you have done has worked and that it is done. And we oftentimes miss the opportunity to sit and surrender into the comfortableness to know that your ancestors have done the work or are doing the work. Universal source creator God is doing the work and bringing things and moving things and da 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 da. And so that anxiousness that we sometimes feel can lead us to try to rush the timeline forward and rush it into existence. And things that are created from rush, from urgency, they will carry that frequency into the timeline. Therefore, the new timeline will start to demand that same level of urgency, that same level of anxiety. Do you want to be maintaining a timeline where everything seems urgent? Because I don't. That's not ease. That's not luxury to me. And I feel like urgency is all a part of the old world that we are really releasing. That's the shift that we have left. And so we're moving into rest, ease, restoration, timeline regulation, nervous system regulation. And for me, that looks like abundance, health, wealth, pleasure, joy, ease of flow, and movement freely. And that's where I feel that generational wealth resides, because our nervous system supports us in connecting to our body, to our feeling. And in the pause, we get the opportunity to relax the nervous system, to remind us about the ease, grab a hold of those pearls of easiness, and then move forward into a timeline that is easeful. And when we're in a timeline that's easeful, that affects 7 generations forward, and it is definitely healing all of the generations behind. So, what are your thoughts on this topic as the regulation system as the new generational wealth, baby?
I think it's very timely because always. Um, so in EBBO, you've heard the phrase health is wealth, right?
Yeah.
And so that is just, I'm teaching myself my paternal maternal language now, however many years later. And that is Nsongi Demidi Uya, health is beautiful, wholeness is beautiful. And then Nsongi Demidi Imo, which is health is wealth, or I'm choosing wholeness, is wealth. And during lockdown, I flipped a lot of corpses and to help with the breathing. And I call them corpses because a lot of them did not make it. And we are in this in between space already as humans living in this 3D world, waiting until we ascend or transition to the next life. But if we don't take care of our physical body, there are literally things that we cannot do. um, and so I speak a lot about wholeness and reminding people, because I want to remind people that we are not just our physical bodies, we're not just our mental bodies, we're not just our spiritual bodies. Um, and specifically as a physical therapist, a lot of people forget about the nervous system, or maybe the focus is usually on muscles and I'm a neurological specialist, and so in my field and my profession with the people I work with, we understand and we focus on the spinal cord and the nervous system more. But in spiritual spaces, or more in spaces where there's mental health providers, when there's a greater conversation around just our well-being, our nervous system, autonomics, all of those things, it just makes me happy. Because one phrase that stuck to me, or that I said when I wanted to overdo things, or I noticed I was overdoing things, is if I'm dead, they will just replace me. If my physical form is so stressed and overworked that I have a heart attack tomorrow, they will find another replacement.
Hmm.
Always. And so when we think about wholeness and we think about this timeline that we want to create for ourselves, that's where I just remind people, like, what is it that you and your soul want to do in this life that you said that you couldn't do? Because a lot of it, we have the things, but that we say that we can't, and so that we stay in this old timeline, where we're drinking coffee, or maybe not sleeping enough, or maybe not drinking enough water, or maybe not spending time with our loved ones, even though we say we want more ease and rest and travel and fun and play and family times. But your physical body is having a hard time moving towards that. And that's because we're not paying attention to the physical form, and that pause, that breath is literally the first step. That conversation with yourself of like, okay, what do I need in this moment so that I can continue to live on to get to where I need to be for myself, not anybody else, not nobody's job, like whatever your dream is. You have to be physically healthy. And if you are not, your whole being is not working properly. And so I just hate when I see patients come in and they're like, I decided to not take my blood pressure medication, or I got too busy so I couldn't do this. It breaks my heart because we don't spend enough time taking care of ourselves, because I feel like most of us are in systems that tell us that, we got to make money instead, or making money looks this way, or you should choose, yeah, just capitalism. I can't. I don't want to say it, but it's like these whatever system is has you underneath its thumb. Don't let that take away from taking care of yourself.
It creates longevity is what I'm hearing, like there's this huge self-care movement which I love, and I think before that was this, and I'm going to say what I say. Before the self-care movement was the superficial self-love movement. In my opinion, it was superficial. And now we're moving into this kind of everything holistic, like really holistic. My body, my mind, my spirituality, my ancestry. Time is an illusion. Like all of that is starting to converge now, which I am here for, honestly. And as you were talking about, it being that generational wealth and creating longevity and doing it for yourself, not for anybody else, because at the end of the day, in a job, they gonna replace you. And then they ask you to give 2 weeks notice when they can just fire you in a day and be like, you need to be gone by today. Like why I gotta give you 2 weeks notice, but you ain't gotta give me 2 weeks notice when you gonna fire me? How that fair? Because you're replaceable in that system, unfortunately. And so, as we're talking, I want to move into the body as an instrument of ancestral memory and as ancestral liberation, because the whole time you were talking, my back was just lighting up. Like I could just feel ancestors vibrating and saying ping 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 ping, because it is, time is not linear. Time is not a thing. It's all happening at once. So as we are creating that generational wealth and healing our bodies and creating longevity within ourselves, we are also doing that for our ancestors. We're living longer and healthier than they could have, than they had the opportunity to. We're doing the work to de-stress ourselves and decolonize our brain cells so that we are not living with the hypertensions and the stresses that they had, because they had to eat certain types of food, because they were dealing with massa and this and other things and colonialism and all of this stuff that was coursing through their body, which is now coursing through our body, which we have the tools, and we are learning more tools through our ancestral memory of communing with the land to heal our bodies, regulate our nervous system, and detoxify the gunk that they had so that we can move forward in deeper generational wealth of a regulated nervous system, which brings more abundance, which brings more clarity, which brings more creativity, and brings us into our God power. My goodness, the ancestors were just talking there. Which is not new when we get together.
1,000%, 1,000%. I say, yep, they on one. Let's go. Let's go. Because yeah, the way my heart was just like blop 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 blop, and it's not. I was earlier. I was like, I was gonna use an example of, because everyone maybe some people who are or want romantic love, but I'm gonna speak about agape love or just anti loneliness, because that's one thing that was brought about heavily during lockdown, is people just being lonely and scared to the point to where their anxiety rose and they would end up going to the hospital thinking that they were having an anxiety attack or one thing, and then end up catching something in the hospital, and then sometimes they never made it out. And so I bring this up because I'm reiterating again how important it is to have a regulated nervous system, because no matter what externally is happening, we are still good. And you spoke about, the superficiality of the self-love movement, even though it was, some of it is, now it's trendy and all the things like that. What it did do is bring more attention to the fact that a lot of us are really, are alone or scared or need community. And so, yeah, you'll have the superficial stuff for the people who are just doing it just to make a dollar. But then there, the fact that like I go into different spaces where I don't think that mental health conversation is happening, and then I go there and it is happening, and it makes me happy because I'm just like, yo, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't think I ever would have seen this. I'm like, this world is actually getting better, even though if you watch the news and you see that like the amount of people who have done the work and have decided to go, get therapy and decide to start their healing journey and and is doing the work is way more than what was happening 10 years ago. And that is shifting the collective timeline. And that feels really good. That part feels really, really good. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I appreciate, this is why we have community. This is why we have conversation, right? Because I appreciate that we needed that movement. And I, even though I called it superficial, which I still do agree that I still do believe that it was, I know that it was needed because it awakened me in many ways. It awakened multiple people that I know. So I'm not saying that I didn't appreciate it, but I think because of just who I am as a Scorpio, I fucking love to go deep. I'm like, give me all of the deep things. Like, why we just stopping at this level? It's a whole iceberg underneath here. Like, you just at the tip of the iceberg when just 98% of the mass is below the water. Let's go there. So I think that's where I'm coming from when I speak about like the superficiality of it. And I do hold space for, I feel that way. And I appreciate that the movement was needed. So I appreciate you for bringing that forward and highlighting the positivity that it came from and how it shifted our society as a whole forward. Because sometimes in my desire to be so deep, I can miss that. And I'm not, I know that about me. I'm not gonna mince nobody's words. I know that about me, and I'm not ashamed about it. So those who listen, just know I just want to go deep. Let's go there with me, like.
And thank you for bringing that up, because you mentioned something earlier, and I wanted to bring up the stages of change. But there's a spectrum, and you have those people who may know a thing, but may be stuck in that fear or that like I just oh. And because you're a Scorpio, and because you like to go deep, I also want to mention that you're also an embodier. Like you embody the thing. You're not just going to talk about it, and like you're going to do the thing. And so there are people though who just like to talk and not do the thing. And so when you're talking about the superficial part, that is like 10 out of 10. I want to just acknowledge that like we are on the same page. And also like kudos to the people who are doing the work again. And you are one of those people. Like just having this conversation to be able to like reach so many people globally, like even if it's like that thought bubble, that seed is planted, the person who's like teeter-tottering of like, oh, maybe, I'm thinking about doing this thing, but maybe I will. Like it is so inspirational just to hear other people doing it. And so anyways, I guess what I'm saying is I'm grateful. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having this conversation with me. Because it is reminding me that like, even though some days are hard, it is not for nothing. If at the very minimum, it has touched me. And that is enough,
Yeah, I was about to say that's not even the minimum. Honestly, that's the maximum. It touching
Ooh.
you and I,
Mm-hmm.
because it has to start with us.
Mm-hmm.
The self-love, the depth, the work, it starts here. It starts, like you said, in the conversation. And so I would love for more of us to reframe that what we do should not be done for other people. It's done for us, because when we know that we're doing it for us, we know that it is affecting multitudes because we're one. And the best way to affect multitudes is to affect the change internally within yourself first. So I greatly appreciate your thoughts on that and sharing. And I really am grateful for you being here. We are going to take a quick break. And when we get back from that break, we are going to take some time to talk about integrative technology, movement, how to integrate all of these things, still keeping Dr. Udom here with us. But we will be right back after this break.
This is for you. This is for you. This is for you. Ancestors, it's for you. This is for you, for you, for you, for you. This is.
I am so excited for this portion of the podcast because this is where we get into the integration practices. Dr. Udom and I will share some ways to integrate. And for those in the Love Integration Portal, make sure you check out After the Conversations, which is our private members only time together, where I'll share more rituals, things around daily integration, stuff to anchor the new timeline's frequency into your body. And we're going to get into what is a timeline frequency anyways. So make sure you remember to see me there. And as a reminder, Love Integration Portal members, you get the podcast before anybody else gets to see it out in the world. You so special. I love you. All right, let's bring back Dr. Udom as we get into even more integrative movement, technology, da 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 da. We have talked on all of the things today. And I'd like for us to dig into something I know that is super close to your heart, your own nervous system, and your ancestral practices, which is movement.
So this is going to be TMI to some folks, but we're all humans and we all have guts, okay, and intestines, and they process things. But we are constipated, things don't move, and then we
Mhm.
can get pain in specific areas, and that can be referred pain. So it's not going to be, maybe it might not stay in the stomach, it might be in your back or other areas, but when I give that example, right, of constipation, because I'm like, your bowels are literally stuck in this place and are not able to expel out, and then you have symptoms. That is the same if we do not move our external whole body. How I grew up, right, my ancestors would speak of curses. And one of those ancestral curses would be back pain or diabetes or hypertension. And all of those things can be mitigated, right? Reduced, eliminated if we move our body. The more you know. And so by having gentle movement practice, and I'm not talking about, you don't got to go to the gym for an hour and a half, 3 hours, even though that's fun sometimes, pushing weightlifting. You can literally go walking for 10 minutes outside, or you can put your favorite song on and dance for 5 minutes. I was waiting for people to pass by.
I know, wait,
Um,
I just want to say, wait, pause, because I don't know if y'all peeped Dr. Udo's face. It was the look to the side of, let me just slip when the Whitney's. That was the like auntie mama look, like, listen, you done yet? You done? Because I'm waiting for you to, okay, you done? All right, here we go. That's what that.
Thank you for
if the
peeping
listeners
that.
saw your face, honey.
Thank you for peeping
Matter
that.
of
I
fact,
appreciate you.
I go watching the video. All right, back to you.
So movement, how important? I guess I got your question. Like, how important is movement? Movement is everything. But the way you move can look, be, feel different. Like I said, I mentioned walking, I mentioned dancing, I mentioned, journaling. I got my handy dancer and I'm sketching at the same time. And so let's go back to the conversation we had, the piece earlier about the talking to yourself and your body, which when I met you, Zya, I was just like, I was enamored because I was like, this human is talking to their person out loud for me to hear. And so it would fuck me up because I'd be like, am I supposed to, like, I was like, are they talking to me? And it took me a minute to kind of like catch your rhythm. And I was like, yo, this is amazing and wonderful because it just gives me it gave me permission to just even do it in my head, Uh, anyways, I'm gonna go back to, I think I lost it, but when you, right, so it could be really quick and unconscious, right? Okay, so I'm a writer, so my hands, I'm always writing my hands first, and I could be like, hands, how you doing, how you feeling, right? And depending on how it wants to converse with me that day, it might send a sharp ping right here, and I'm like, okay, word, you need to be stretched. So what do? Boom,
Mhm.
we extend our arms, we put our fingers down, and we stretch this bad boy because this is the compartment right here, that part of it that does a lot of the work when you're doing this movement, right? And this movement, right? And here, this movement. Personally, for me, I've been 300 pounds, I've been 120 pounds, I've been 160 pounds. I've my body has done a lot. I've learned through trial and error what works well for my body. And when I was in the gym heavy and just excessive, it wasn't that it wasn't maintainable, but it made other things in my life more difficult, right? I'm a physical therapist. So I was super, super sore because I was powerlifting and all the things like that. So I couldn't move right in this other field of my life the way that I wanted to. And so, body, how do you want to move? I would like consistency. I would like maintenance. And so I'm like, okay, I can't do this every day, or maybe I should probably switch it up. And so I walk literally every day. And so it's understanding the body, it's integrating the things, finding what you like and what you can do. Because then I also have patients who are bedbound. That doesn't mean that they can't move. We sure do be in the bed, you know what I'm saying, doing punches in the air, and we're working on rolling, and I'm stretching their leg. Like, we gonna get it in, because even if your physical body is not able to do it, if you have a partner or assistant or someone that can help you, then everything starts to flow a little better. Going back to the gut, then you're able to expel the things that are stuck in your body, and that's the blood brain, the gut brain relationship is important. And so I could jump now to nutrition, but we're not going to do that because then I'll be rambling. But in short, finding what works for you, something that you like and could be consistent with, is so important to moving your body. And this is where I turn into the, what do they call, PTs? Sometimes I get called pain and torturer, because we no one has any excuses. We have literally no excuses. If my bed bound, almost comatose patient can work with me, homie, you ain't got no reason why you can't go outside and take a lap in between your meeting, right? Or stand up and stretch, And you may not think that's nothing, but it does so much. It does so much for your lymphatic system. It does so much for your blood. It does so much for your gut. And for the people who have a hard time moving, drink 2 gallons of water like Zya. Because guess what? Your ass gonna be in the bathroom. You gonna walk to the bathroom to pee, and by the end of the day, you might get 5,000 extra steps. You see what I'm saying? Like, you trick yourself if you need to. Like, do what you gotta do. Take care of yourself. Move your body. Yeah, we as humans could do so much better, and it starts with us. And so, once again, gratitude for having me on here to be able to use my words, because this is also a muscle, y'all. Your throat chakra, all those things. And people who, I was a mute. I was a mute growing up. And so I am literally exercising as I am speaking to you, something that I don't do often. And I just want to name that for people who have a hard time or who struggle with what things should look like.
I like the what things should look like, right? Because as much as I'm going to keep sharing integration practices, it's your world. You, God being out there, it's your world. What do you want it to look like? You can try on the different things that we're sharing as suits and see if it fits you and if you like it. And then if you don't like it, discard it and go try on a different suit. Like, I'm not going to be mad. I'm actually going to be really excited and happy for you, because the more that you try on something or don't try something or just internally know intuitively, like, that ain't for me, Zya. I ain't doing that today. Like, the more you know that means you know yourself more. And the more that you know yourself, that means you are showing up even more authentically in this world. And the more you show up authentically in this world, the more kinder you are to self. And then you are most likely more kinder to others, because you allow them the space to show up as themselves, however they are. So please, it ain't gonna hurt me. It ain't gonna hurt Dr. Udom. It's only gonna hurt you if you don't do what feel good for you, honey. So take what works, leave the rest, and know that I'm gonna love you any and all of the ways that you allow me to. Okay. One of the things that you said, Dr. Udom, which made me laugh, was they call you, what is it, pain and torturer, PT, pain and torturer. I find that hilarious. It's not the first time that I've heard that about a PT before, but it's also not the first time that I've heard that about a personal trainer. So as a master personal trainer, they would call me a pain and torturer, the one who would be sunshine and smiling in your in your face, talking about, no, you got 5 more reps. It's be okay. Just smile. Just tell your body we got this. I would push people so hard, and the whole time have them smiling and laughing, and they would just be like, "This is ridiculous. How you this cute, smiling in my face, and mean as what? Get out!" And I'm like, "It's not mean. It's really love, actually, because I know the importance of moving your body. You have to move your body. That's a part of the generational wealth." And I've really been getting into the lymphatic system lately and understanding how that works and its big role in our body's ability to release and excrete waste. The lymphatic system talks to our kidneys and our adrenals, and then that also talks to the stomach and the intestines, and they all work together. And your lymphatic system is not like the blood system. The blood can move through your body using your heart as a pump. The lymphatic system does not have a pump. The pump is you taking good breaths and your own actual movement, how you are moving. That's how the lymphatic moves. And if the lymphatic system is not moving, that means your body's ability to get rid of waste is hindered. So not just your intestines and your stomach needs that movement to help get rid of waste. Your lymphatic system, which works with that other system, needs your movement to support those things to get rid of the waste. So many of us are sitting out here sedentary and just got waste building up inside of us, turning into toxins, and then wondering why you not living long, why you got diabetes and all sorts of shit. And not to get into the nutrition stuff that Dr. Udom just mentioned too, because that's another vein that you got to woo, Jesus, let me calm down. Let me slow down.
No, because when you were talking about the waste, I was like, it not only builds up into other, like it also builds up into anger.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way, like those lower vibrational negative emotions when you're in pain, when your body is in pain, those are gonna come up. It affects
Yep.
so much. It affects so much, and it's not funny, but it's funny. I think it's funny. How just interconnected everything is. Just
Yeah, it really intrigues me. The takeaway from this integration portion of the podcast is you don't have to remember any of the other stuff we said, because if you just remember to move your body however it feels good for you, even if you can't really get up and walk out the door and start pumping those arms.
Mm-hmm.
I I was in at 19, I got into a terrible car accident and I broke both of my ankles, broke my hip, dislocated my nose, and developed scoliosis. I was in a hospital bed in the middle of my living room for months, for like I think 2 or 3 months. And then even after that, I was in a wheelchair for another like month or something because I had cast on both of my feet. And the way I stayed active was my upper arm was moving. I was looking like a marching band, moving my arm up and down. Let me tell you, when I got up, I had Tina Turner arms. Them things were so cut and chiseled. And, and some of it was me recognizing I needed to move because I was an athlete growing up. And I was just like, I don't like feeling like I can't move my body. I feel helpless. I have to move some type of way. So I'm telling you this because I have been in places where I have been 200 plus pounds. I have been broken down where I could not move my body. I'm not coming to y'all from a place of, it's always been slim, trim, Zya over here. That's not the case. That's not the case. And I know the challenges that come with it. I know the mental gymnastics that come with feeling like you don't have the ability to do something. And I want to tell you that you do. Just start reframing your mind to say that you do. Profess over your body as the God being that you are, that you do. You got this. You got this. And even if it is just some circles with your wrist, doing some circles to start moving the synapses and the bones and and opening up your palm and closing them, like just begin. It could even be with some eye blinks because we got the third eye up here that needs some, the pineal gland needs some movement too. So move, move your body. That is how we begin and we embody our timeline, the timeline of our highest alignment, the timeline that brings generational wealth, the timeline that brings a regulated system. Move your body, divine being. Anything else you want to share with the podcast folks, Dr. Udom, before we do our kind of closing meditation?
I think you covered it. They are perfect. We are perfect. We are doing the thing. And I'm proud. I'm proud of y'all. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of me. So that's the last thing. Just you showing up, watching, listening to this. You are doing the work.
Y'all are doing the work. Thank you, Dr. Udom, for being here today. You can find them on Substack and Instagram. All of the information will be in the show notes in the description below. So make sure you check it out, connect with them. They have great resources for you and continued support as you do more nervous system regulation. And as we move into our closing, as always, these episodes are jam-packed with juiciness, hunty. And before you move on with your day, I want us to anchor this juiciness into the moment. As a reminder, Love Integration Portal members, meet me in the portal for after the conversations, and we'll go deeper with more supportive tools. Collectively, let us take a slow, deep breath in, filling up the belly as much as possible. And when you're ready, exhale it out. Let's do that again. Inhale in and exhale out. Notice your body. Notice your seat. Notice the room around you. You are not chasing anything right now. Nothing is chasing you. There is nothing to fix. Say to yourself softly, the work has worked. I am safe to pause. I consent to this new timeline. I allow it to root in place. Let that sit in your being. Notice how that feels in your body. Feel into the difference between striving and allowing. Notice what thriving can feel like in your body. Call in stability. If it feels in alignment with you right now, place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. And with this intentional act and your breath, signal safety to your nervous system. Let it know we are not running anymore. If any part of you still feels anxious, rushing or concerned or second guessing the work and the manifestations that you have done, the desires of your heart, concerned about those things, that's okay. Take a moment to thank and appreciate that energy because it has done something. That part was built for survival. Thank it. And know now that you have been building and built stability. Ask yourself, can I let this new reality land without forcing it? Can I trust what has already shifted? Your regulated nervous system is not just personal healing, it is ancestral repair, it is generational wealth. 7 generations back and 7 generations forward is what you have stabilized today just by listening to this podcast. I'm so proud of you. I love you deeply. Continue to love yourself. Continue to show up for yourself. Continue to move your body and smile, baby. The timeline is taking root. Let it settle. Let's take one more final breath together. Inhale through the nose. Deeper. More breath. Even more. And release. You've been listening to Conversations with the Ancestors with Zya and Dr. Udim, who joined us today. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Conversations with the Ancestors is produced and edited by Zya Divine. Theme music, For You, written and co-performed by Robin Denise. Continue your integration work in the Love Integration Portal at ZyaDivine.com. Once again, that's ZyaDivine.com.
Ancestors, it's for you.